Hello there, I'm Scotty. You're not. Welcome back to Dis-Cember, and today we are going to surf Wyoming as we talk about meet the Deedles. Now, I mentioned this movie in my Johnny Tsunami review that I did for December earlier this month, because I mentioned that Steve Van Warmer played a dual role in that movie. Well, as it turns out, it's the same director, Steve Boyum. This is his first film, his directorial debut, and he would go on to do, well, let's see. There's a lot here that he did. Not Steve Van Warmer, you moron. Wrong Steve. You have director, Meet the Deedles, Johnny Tsunami, Mom's Got a Date with a Vampire, Stepsister from Planet Weird. That movie keeps coming around, and I don't have enough time to cover it. Motocross, Slapshot 2, Breaking the Ice, Time Cop 2, The Berlin Decision, King Solomon's Mines, La Femme Musketeer, Supercross, which is I thought of that with Motocross. Supernatural, episodes of Supernatural, Numbers, NCI Los Angeles, Human Target, Hawaii Five-0, which is funny because they play the theme song in this. Castle, Revolution, Forever, Black Sails, Rush Hour, which I assume is that short-lived TV show. That wasn't too bad. Lethal Weapon, also the TV show. Blood and Treasure, The Boys, Gen V, Goosebumps, the TV series, and The Old Man, the new TV series 2023 that I covered, by the way. I'm going to cover season 2 or The Vanishing sometime next year. He was a stunt performer in Apocalypse Now, The Blues Brothers, Lethal Weapon 2, Patriot Games, stay tuned. True Romance, True Lies, Mr. Holland's Opus, don't stay tuned. You, Me, and Dupree. I have that movie, but I haven't yet to watch it. It's my voodoo. He acted in the 1975 Rollerball, Kolchak the Night Stalker episode Choppa, as Harold Swartman Baker. 0 to 60, a movie. Herbie Goes Bananas as a policeman, and Predator, Hostage Executed by the Russian, uncredited. So, yeah, there's his. I didn't mean to go that far, but I did. Back. Yes, and the movie is about two surfer bros, literal bros, the fraternal twins, something I was not aware of. I knew they were brothers, I knew they were twins. I guess I forgot. Who are celebrating their birthday, but when things go wrong, their dad decides to send them to a boot camp. And that goes wrong, and they end up being mistaken for park ranger recruits at Yellowstone National Park. And so they just go with it until things go wrong in a plot orchestrated by Dennis Hopper, Robert Englund, and who plays Richard Lineback. And we don't know him by the name. He was in movies, let's see, Speed, Varsity Blues, Friday the 13th, New Beginning. He was Deputy Dodd. Face 9, MASH. I swear there's a movie. He's in Twister, I guess. Here. Beginning. Speed. Natural Born Killers. Sunny. Twister. Meet the Deedles. Varsity Blues. Ready to Rumble. Right. Ready to Rumble. He was David Arquette's dad in that. Son, you're gonna be a policeman, just like your mom, and your sister. He was also in The Ring. Oh yeah, in The Ring. He's the guy that manages. Is this your card? Yeah, he's that guy. He's one of that guy actors. He's in TV2, MASH. Nothing I've seen, but yeah. So yeah, that they're trying to sabotage. The plan is so stupid. We'll get to it. Trying to sabotage the park. They're trying to sabotage Old Faithful for their own little We'll get to it. So we start with the normal surf ska music, as this is, very much, it's a year before Johnny Tsunami, so yeah. Phil and Stu, spelled Stew, for some reason, are woken up by their friends and flew out to surf in like a sky, what do you call that, hang glide thing? Did they wake up there or something? I don't know. But, yeah. And they get in trouble for skipping school. And they get expelled. And their father is very mad. And one thing I want to point out, they even point this out. It wasn't their fault. Their friends kidnapped them and threw them out there. It was not their fault. But their dad, Eric Braden of The Young and the Restless. Yes, I know that my mom used to watch that show back in the day. Victor Newman from 1980. He's still acting? Still acting. How long? Let's see, how long was he on Young and the Restless? Since 1980, right? Let's see. 1980, present. He's still going? Dude, that's 45 years. 45 years on the same show. God damn. God damn. Yes, Victor, that's right. I called him Jack. I'm like, no, Jack's a different guy. I remember some things. Those two. That's it. So he decides they're going to be sent to a boot camp. And this boot camp is boot camp at Yellowstone National Park, to the horror of the boys. So the owner, Major Flowers, tells them that the boot camp was shut down because of lawsuits. So, but the guy still intends to train them, his own training, which, yeah. I want to point out, so they're supposed to be, this is their punishment for something they did not directly do, but it's supposed to be their punishment. But they get to take this big suitcase thing that has their drink thing. They make what's called hulas. It's got no alcohol because it's a Disney movie, but it's a lot of juice. There's a guava juice and this and that, But I'm like, they get to take that with them, but due to being distracted, he ends up driving over to Cliff, which he checks them from the vehicle, and they end up, he thinks they killed him, so he runs into the forest. While running, they get to a campsite where they steal the clothing of two women, and I need to point out these women because I was shocked because this is, the coincidence of all coincidences. These women, Mel and Mo, played by Anna Gasteyer and Megan Kavanagh. If that name sounds familiar, she was Trudy on Home Improvement. That's right, she was also in That Darn Cat 1997, the movie I did before this. She was Joe? Lou. And I was actually wrong. Trudy is the woman that Al marries. It was what's her name? Eileen. That was his first girlfriend. So I got confused. I twisted. So if you were typing Scotty, actually, it wasn't. I know. I realized that Trudy was the one he married. Spoiler alert. Eileen was his first girlfriend that he had. So, yeah. So, they steal their clothes and they get mistaken for those two. Apparently, their files don't say what sex they are, so they just believe it's them. And unnecessarily, we get a joke that these women live off the land. They forage for their own food. So they don't get regular food. They're fed plants and bugs and shit. And I'm just like, okay, I don't like, and they go with it, and I'm just like, why not tell them actually, we stopped doing that. We realized it wasn't doing us any help. In fact, it was harming our digestive systems. So we went back to eating regular food. That's all you need to say. But no, they have to run with this joke. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I love this movie. I discovered it when I was a kid on Disney Channel. I think I actually rented the VHS too. And then years later, I discovered, to my horror, that there is no other physical media release of this than a VHS. I had to rent the VHS from the library. One of those things where you order and it comes from another library. Yeah, one of those things. I had to rent it to watch it. Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. There's no other physical media of this that I know of. But it's pretty good quality on Disney Plus. I was expecting 4.3, but it fits the entire screen unless it's a crop job. I don't know. But yeah, I should say, Paul Walker is Phil, and Steve Van Warmer, as I said, is Stu. They meet Captain Douglas Pine, who's John Ashton from the Beverly Hills Cop movies, and his stepdaughter. I don't know why it has to be a stepdaughter. That's what I'm sitting here trying to figure out. Like, what is the deal? Like, what is the point of her being his stepdaughter? I don't know. Lieutenant Jesse Ryan. I don't understand. By the way, she is now royalty. It's always weird when you look at these actors and you're like, oh, she married Charles Courtenay, 19th Earl of Devon. So she is now Countess of Devon. She's royalty. Like, yeah. So they're there because Mel and Mo actually were trying to stop prairie dogs, or P-dogs as they call them, from invading the invading the park. And they're there to stop it. Of course, everything they try to do just makes things worse. That's when we find out that everything is being sabotaged by Dennis Hopper's character Slater and his two henchmen, Mr. Crab, which is that Lions back guy, and Mr. Nemo, which is Robert Englund. I was like, I do a double take. Like, is that Robert Englund? The hell? But yeah, he's very goofy in this, and that's a good thing. So yeah, they're trying to destroy this thing. Once they revealed their plot, I just went, he's doing what now? Because I forgot. It's been years since I've seen this. You kidding me? So, if there's one thing that I have a problem with, so they do this eventually. So they have fun. They incorporate themselves into this world. They become friends, connected to Pine and his stepdaughter. Phil has eyes for her, so it becomes sort of a romantic thing. Even though Pine's like, no. Eventually, Mel and Mo real Mel and Mo actually show up, and they're all liar revealed story and all that, and so they're kicked out. Well, they're about to get kicked out as they're being taken away, but then Slater's goons show up and start shooting at the chopper for some reason, causing Pine to fall out. The Deedles then take these. You know, when you have EMTs, they have those red, orange things. They take those and, well, they're like surfboards. So they jump in the water and go after him. And the effect that is not very good anymore. I don't know if it was very good back then. They're about to go over the falls and they're saved by the chopper, the helicopter, and they're all hanging out together. He's hanging between the two of them. And it's like, and I'm just like, that's not a very good effect. There's a worse effect. We'll get to it. So everything is fine now. They're saved. They saved him. And they're like, you know what? You guys are going to graduate. We're going to stop this prairie dog thing. So they have a luau party. And during this luau party, a bear shows up. It's supposed to be a real bear, but it's obviously fake. During this, Slater finds... Whenever I say Slater, I think of Arnold Schwarzenegger. In Last Action Hero. Slater. But no, Slater finds the map that they were using, and he's able to use that for something. So Stu has planted cherry bombs in there, which will close the tunnels that the prairie dogs are digging through and allow Old Faithful to work. But Slater sabotaged this and causes the whole thing to blow up. But apparently it's not actually dead because we'll get there. So they're kicked out again, and I went, why did we have to do this twice? Right? Why did we get the lie revealed, then they save Pine, and then they're back in good graces, and then it happens again? Why do that twice? Why rinse, wash, and repeat? What was the point of that? Other than to waste time. It makes no sense. I was like, nah, I didn't like this part. Like, why are we doing this again? They got back in your good graces, and they'll kick out Deedles, kick them out, and they get kicked out again. But they're not deterred from this. They're still going to try to figure out a way to save the park. So, Stu looks at the map that they have, and so they trace where the thing is. They use their hang gliding thing to attach themselves to a car. Just so happens to be Major Flowers again, MC Gainey, by the way, who once again drives off the road, but they're able to cut loose and fly. They're able to steer with this thing, I guess, and make their way to where this random trailer is. And it turns out this trailer is Slater's trailer. It's a secret thing where they go underground thing. I don't know. They get there. Well, there's also a running joke where Robert Englund says he can read lips. But of course, the joke is he can't, so everything he says is wrong. That's the... When they get caught and they're taken down there, and then he, like in a Bond villain fashion, he explains his plan, and that's where I went, what? So his plan is to divert all of the geyser pressure from Old Faithful, drain it into a new hole next to his trailer, Old Faithful, then call it New Faithful, and a new national park he's going to call Slaterstone. Now, if that don't sound like an action film, Slaterstone. That's his plan. Everyone will go see his national park, and Yellowstone will be ruined. Yeah, it won't work. Because as soon as you have a geyser going in your little park, and Yellowstone doesn't, they can be like, well, obviously he stole it and found a way to redirect it. You're going to jail. It won't work. It won't work. He's going to end up going to jail. People aren't that stupid. They're going to be like, well, let's see. Old Faithful's not working. This one is. Obviously, he did something to Old Faithful to make it so that doesn't work. And now this hole, which has never worked, is not working for some reason. Obviously, he did something. And all they'd have to do is find a way underground to look at the thing. I should also mention, during their attempts to stop the prairie dogs, they befriended a P-dog named Petey. It is very important. So, Slater says he's going to go start the process of diverting it to New Faithful, and tells Mr. Crab and Mr. Nemo to the Deedles. Well, as the things start to go south, Petey shows up and knocks them both out. No, that's later. They take care of them. By the way, are they dead now? Because of what happened? Because they take them out. Well, they feed them to the P-dogs. They spray them with, I think it's prairie dog pheromones. That's what they were using to get them to the thing. They might be dead, actually. And if they weren't dead by the P-dogs, when the thing flooded, had to. But anyway, they put on the suits that Crab and Nemo were supposed to wear, and they sneak down. And he's like, "Okay, Mr. Crab, Mr. Nemo, open up the things." And they start closing. He's like, "No, what are you doing?" And he's like, "Hey, dude," and they're like, "Deedles." So they're making the pressure get big, and they end up in a fight. And Stu gets knocked down, but Petey comes to save the day just before Slater does something to Phil. It knocks Slater down. He's like, "Petey, save the day!" And okay, we gotta get in the tunnel. They're gonna drag him with him. Like, why? Somebody was told, I bet you in one of the drafts, he was left behind. They went, "This is a Disney movie. You can't kill someone." No, they're not dead. They do show the other two later. How the hell did they survive that tunnel? Not only did they survive being munched down by P-Dogs, but they also survived a bunch of rushing water in the tunnel. Unless they were able to escape from the P-Dogs and go up the toilet thing to safety before it happened. I don't know. I forgot they showed him at the end. Anyway, I bet that was another mandate. You have to show all three of them at the end, not just him. There's no way that... Anyway. As a dragon, they go into the thing that's going to shoot him up through, Old Faithful. Meanwhile, Captain Pine is having a mental breakdown as he starts to... at first he's treading water here. He's like wasting time. He's like, billion. Wow, that's old. What's next? A trillion? Who cares? It's just a gush of hot water. Who cares about that, And eventually the mayor's like, "Pine, what the hell is going to... But there's a lot of swear. Hell, damn. At one point, when Robert Englund is reading words, he reads sheets. It is actually supposed to be shit, but they get around it with that. But, so they go up the Old Faithful, they're out there. Bad effect. Very bad effect of them just, "Hey!" And so Slater yells, "Deedles!" as he goes up. And they're like, and he's like, and Pine is like, "Deedles!" No way they heard Slater. There's no way they heard Slater say it. They somehow know it's the Deedles, though. And everyone starts going, "Deedles! Deedles! Deedles! Deedles!" I'm just like, really? They know it's them? So, they successfully captured all three of them. They're going to go to jail. And now, the rupture of the water flooded the area where Slater's geyser was and created a new kind of water park thing called Deedlestone, where they can surf in Wyoming. Surf Wyoming. The water wouldn't stay there. It's not locked. It's not a locked area. There's cracks. It's an open field. The water would go up and then it would subside and go into the soil again. It wouldn't stay there. That's not how that works. But whatever, right? They get to surf in Wyoming, which they can't do because there's not enough wind support in Wyoming like that. It's not. There's no way. But whatever. Phil gets the girl. Dad is proud, even though they fucked up to win this. Whatever. And everyone's happy. And they went, "Surf Wyoming." I do love this movie. It gets a pretty good for me. There's issues, but I can have fun with it. I'm not one of those that's going to tear a movie apart because of all its holes. So people will look at this and be like, "Well, it doesn't make any sense, so it's crap." No, I think it's a good movie. I enjoy this movie, alright? I love this movie. I have fun with it. Ever since I saw it when I was a kid, 11 years old or 12 years old, whenever it was, I've loved this movie. And I wanted to cover it for the longest time. And now I have. So, what are your thoughts on Meet the Deedles? And you can also below make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I'm Sky, and I'll see you in the next one.